It is now that time. I can't hear you. It is now that time. Now say Wade. Get ready for your blessing. Super Soul Bro.
like that. We're gonna bring up a couple special guests. We got Tony Dickinson here on the other 6 strings. Joe Newman, you heard him earlier on the Barry. We've been busy writing some tunes for games. We're gonna play a tune from Crossfire Mobile. What is that? Yeah, exactly. What is that? Is that some kind of Pokemon? Crossfire Mobile. Anybody need some changes in the mix? I could use more of the horn section in my mix here. On mix 4, more horns. As well as the drums could use more horns also. Dang, sounds like Christmas already. Y'all ready? 6 strings, and Tony Dickinson on the other 6 strings. Man, Tony did his, as I call it, the Tony touch. When we produced that track, he full-sended. He fully put the Tony touch on that. Played all the. He mixed, as Ronnie Beck would say, he mixed the shit out of that tune. If you pull it up on YouTube, you can find it. Give it up for Tony Dickinson here, y'all. Yeah! All right, moving on. We got a couple other tunes. Didn't rehearse this part. tune.
Lit.
Is it lit? Is it lit? Is it lit, fam?
Yeah.
Is it lit, fam? Did I hear the R word? Riz? Someone's been shopping at G-Mart.
Yeah.
G Mart. Gosh, oh golly G. Once again, Tony Dickinson, y'all. Yeah. Sometimes you get lost in G Mart. You gotta find the right aisle. The chicken noodle soup is next to the like extension cords and the yeah. It's right next to the seltzers. That's right. You're just reaching for it, and then you find it. Come on, that's Anthony Franceschi on the percussion there, on the LaCroix. Who has recognized any of the tunes we've played so far? Oh, just a few. All right, nice, awesome. Well, we got more coming. This next one, we're gonna get some flows from This Guy Mons. We got some mic going there. Hey, give it up for MC Mons over there. Yo. That's right.
Check. Mic check 1 2. Hey.
We're gonna get a little stanky here. Yeah, can we cue stanky lights? Stank, full stank. The blue is like, as long as it's not like the white headlight, deer in the headlights. That's dear God, not the. That's not stank. Let's keep it blue, red kind of vibes and.
Blue and red.
Blue and red in nature. We good, y'all? Okay. We're gonna try a new tune. We've never played this live. Let's go in. Guns a-blazing, y'all.
Let's do it. Hey. Scheming, making moves, action that groove, 2 steps, what's next? There's a whole lot of uncertainty running across this country. Most of y'all ain't even heard of me, but what's in the name? And a rep steady grinding, silently gaining respect, and I'm finding some of y'all all talk and no stripes in a land filled with beasts. You align yourself with mice, skipping all the fundamentals. I smash them out to the lot. It's all pedal, no fast lane. When the times spring up and bloom like that skating tape, get down, we stay up until the early morn. Crack a dawn tight-ish, riding on my wrongs so I can live righteous and sail across the 7 seas on my ship. Let my voice be heard, echo across deep dive, jump off cliffs. I gets down. How many bars I gotta write to get right? Many bars I gotta get to get sacked. Running from a 9 to 5, I think it's not. You ain't living out your dreams. Then what the fuck is life? How many bars I gotta write to get right? How many bars I gotta get to make stacks? Running from a 9 to 5, I think it's not. You ain't living out your dreams. Then what the fuck is life? Let's get some trumpet. Hey. Yes. Yeah. How many bars I gotta write? How many bars I gotta get to make stacks? Running from a 9 to 5, I kick it live. If you ain't living out your dreams, then what the fuck is life? How many bars I gotta write to get right? How many bars I gotta get to make stacks? Running from a 9 to 5, I kick it live. If you ain't living out your dreams, then what the fuck is life? It's alright, all sight, sick and go, cylindrical, tunnel vision, no supervision, all grown up, several days, until my born day, muscle memorize this shit like the born way, study styles, transcribe solos and melodies, vibing with a light brick, dipping with some energy, improvise, devise plans, I make moves, fine line between life and death, relays grooves with my kinfolk, we from the west coast, finding the tangent between the lyrics and my spirit like the Holy Ghost is my control, that'll take my soul as it did me, better than matter, we the gym, my dude that goes in, the music and out the speaker, student becomes a teacher, wise words from experience and paying dues, fuck, luck is hard work, network to grow your network, patience, persistence, and a proper attitude to get you through, you never knew, like, right, to get right, how many bars I gotta get to make stacks, running from a 9 to 5, I kick it live if you ain't living out your dreams, and what the fuck is life, how many bars I gotta write to get right, how many bars I gotta get to make stacks, running from a 9 to 5, I get it live, you ain't living out your dreams, and what the fuck is life, when I say soul, you say bro, soul, when I say super, you say soul, super, soul, when I say soul, you say bros, soul, bros, when I say super, you say soul, super. Yes, sir. My name is Mine. Hope you guys are having a good time so far. Yes, sir. Give a round of applause for yourselves. MAGWest, not fast, that's later on in the year. Know what I mean? Thank you. Yeet.
Right on. Give it up for Mods, y'all. This next tune is a deep cut. It's from, did anyone ever play Pac-Man 2, The New Adventures? Oh! I'm sorry you've gone through that. Is that game not unreasonable? It's completely unreasonable. Well, this next tune is a deleted track from that game. Let's put it that way. But first, I need a little bit of water. Just a little water. This one's called Unreasonable. Here we go. Something like that. Something like that. That's Bill Smollick on trumpet, y'all.
100% you me.
Also, Joe Newman sitting in on the Barry, y'all. Christian Manzana on the T-Bone. And flowing for y'all earlier. Alex Popoff on the tenor sax. Yeah. The monster on the 6 strings there, that's Brian Shue. That's right. The Giants fan on auxiliary percussion, Anthony Franceschi. Wait, shh. Anthony Franceschi, y'all. Yes. You can't spell ASMR without Anthony Franceschi. Is that right? If you use an M in Anthony. That's right. Okay. The pocket monster back here, Chris Heyman on drums. We got time for maybe 1, maybe 2 more tunes here. Y'all want to hear a couple more? All right. Have you been enjoying your MAGWest so far? Good. All right, this next tune is a little Latin in nature. We're gonna let the drums have their fun. Can we give the drummers some? Can we give the drummers some? Super Soul Bros. And we literally just ended at 1 second left on the set. Right on. Give yourselves a hand for tolerating that set there. Who enjoyed it? All right.